We're a little late getting started, I fear, this morning. It feels like anyway. Good morning, everybody. How are you? So we have on with us today one of the gubernatorial candidates, Leisa Haynes, and we're going to talk to her here in just a second. I thought I'd bring up a couple of things really fast before we get into it this morning. I saw a video this morning, and a friend sent me, you know how your friends do that. They'll go, look at this video on X. And so I'm going to see if I can find it again and play it for you, because it was, this was something new, a new hell entirely. So there are, I think I can play it. Okay, let me get here just a second. This was a shocker even for me. And I was like, okay, never heard that before. All right, so I'm going to flip this over. So give me a second, and I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to pull this in so that you can, because I'm just dying to know what your take is on this. Okay, so I have to unmute it. There it goes. And make sure I'm sharing. Am I sharing? Okay, there we go. All right, so this is a tweet from Jesse Waters' show on Fox News, and it says, "Holy smokes, Peter Schweitzer just exposed the government's plot to conquer America. They've already built an infrastructure inside the United States. People don't realize that right now there are more than a dozen Mexican senators and members of Mexico's House of Representatives who live in the United States. Their job is to represent Mexicans living here in the Mexican parliament." So I'm just going to play this for you, and then you can tell me what you think.
The Reconquista movement involves all the leadership of Mexico. I could read to you literally dozens of quotes from Mexican presidents, Mexican senators, prominent people in journalism that say they are using mass migration as a means to reconquer or retake the territories that were lost to them. And this is not just bravado, Jesse. As I point out in the book, they have created an infrastructure in our country. People don't realize that right now in the United States, there are more than a dozen senators and members of their House of Representatives of the Mexican Congress who live in the United States. And their job is to represent Mexicans living in the United States in the Mexican parliament. So they've already starting to take steps to undermine our sovereignty. And that's not even to mention what they're doing with their 53 consulates, which, by the way, is almost 10 times as many as Great Britain has in the United States. They're involved in politics, and they're organizing some of these anti-ICE protests.
Well, wow. I mean, that's a lot. You're saying that would be like the United States having congressmen in other countries representing Americans living abroad. You're saying that that's what Mexico's doing here?
Yes, yeah. There's a Senator Ruiz, for example, who sits in the Mexican Senate but lives in Arizona. She's actually proposed legislation to make California a state of Mexico. There's a congressman who lives in Ontario, California, who went across the United States saying he was organizing the militancy to undermine the presidency of Donald Trump. These are all facts and statements that they've made. So we need to understand there is a political infrastructure. It's not just people pouring across the border. It's the political networks that Mexico and other countries have established inside the United States that are undermining our sovereignty.
Oh my goodness. So all I could think of, oh, and by the way, Michael is down with a back problem this morning. So keep him in your prayers. So he's not going to be on this morning. So I listened to that. And then I couldn't help but remember the time that we had Jessica and Cam on the show, and they were talking about how the network of attorneys that are here that help illegal immigrants find jobs. And we talked a little bit about the Mexican consulate that our Governor Stitt was so excited about putting in, and about how that could be a real problem for all kinds of situations. And he explained that, he explained it briefly. Well, here's Michael. He says, I was actually just thinking about this the other day. We take our local constitutions and laws for granted. If you get enough of these people on a legislature, they'll literally change our laws to their benefit. Is the chat messed up? I don't think so. Did I miss something? Oh, okay. So if you really wanted to like take over a country, wouldn't you become part of the country and then take it over from the inside? I mean, seriously. I mean, I'm not trying to be tinfoil hat here. I mean, that does make some sense, really. And if you have 50 consulates, 50, so like one in every state or more than one in a state, I don't know, but that is very concerning. And why haven't we had this discussion ever? So anyway, I just wanted to mention that and show that and see what you thought about that. And then I don't know, maybe Lisa will have something we can talk about that. So I'm going to bring Lisa in. And good morning, Lisa. How are you?
Good morning.
We had
having me.
Oh, of course. We had a brief visit yesterday,
Yes.
which was nice. At the Oklahoma City
so
Republican
much more
Women
in person.
Oh my goodness. What do I owe you for that?
You really are.
Oh
That
my
cup of
goodness.
hot chocolate.
That I can do. I can't do much else because we're both campaigning.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't spend any money on anything else anymore.
That's right.
Adam says good morning. So just to start us off, what do you think about that?
Well, I wasn't aware of it either. And I don't know why anybody would welcome a consulate from another country into Oklahoma unless you're getting paid off by them to do that.
Well, his
you're
name is
right.
Kevin Stitt,
Yes, I know.
and he's governor of the state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And while I've been campaigning and I've met 65,000 people and 9,700 business owners, I've met only 5 people that have approved of him. Yeah. But we also have Chinese people moving in here. They're already here. They own 1 million acres in Oklahoma. And we've got the Islam Brotherhood that's moving in. You know, Broken Arrow had a 15-acre mosque planned, and 2,000 people showed up at their city council, and they had it at the university because they knew it was such a hot topic. And they voted it out. So it's coming somewhere else. But I hope, just like the AI centers, I hope that people will take what they did in Broken Arrow and not let it come to other places either.
Well, I think just a couple of things based on what you're talking about, and I'll just hit the last one first. I don't know if you remember this. Most people don't, and that's the problem that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Our memories are like this short and people just don't remember things. And in 2010, I remember because I had started working, inside the legislative process, trying to get some bills passed starting in 2008. And in 2010, we had a bill that went to the people of Oklahoma who voted on it as a state question to prevent Sharia and other forms of law from outside the United States being used in the state. And it was overwhelming. I think it was 78% of all Oklahomans voted for that state law. So do you know what happened to it? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
The Supreme Court struck it down.
That's what I figured happened. Yeah.
So don't tell me our courts aren't completely
liberal.
Well, I think I want to call them captured. I think our courts are captured because they're captured by people who are activists, not by people who actually want to purvey the law.
Right. And there's something in the legislatures also to help to change the way that the attorney or the judges are appointed. Because as of this time, they've just had a selection. When Governor Stitt has to make an appointment, they only give him a selection of 3 that have already been pre-selected.
Yes.
And so we keep this
by guess who?
Going.
By the attorneys.
Yes. Yes. So it was up last year, and I think it'll probably pass this year because they're trying to help the governor make better decisions. And that comes from having a choice to choose and have time to look at who the judges are.
Well, and I don't understand why we don't do it the way the Senate does it, the National Senate.
Right.
Where they confirm,
yes.
They confirm there's a whole bunch of people that they throw into the pot.
Idea. Yeah.
I don't know why that we don't do that here.
I don't know why we couldn't, and we need to.
Because we have a Senate, right?
Yes.
And so you would think that if the U.S. Senate is supposedly...
I'm going to write that down.
Full of elected officials who are supposed to be keeping the nation in their best interests, right?
Right.
Then you would think that the senators at 23rd and Lincoln would be keeping the state, right? In there, what's best for the state. While whereas the representatives are more the voice of the people and here's what the people think and that kind of thing. So anyway, I didn't mean to throw that at you this morning, but
that's okay.
That was fairly eye-opening, and like I said, based on we had a podcast last year, I believe it was the beginning of last year, with 2 one person who is a naturalized citizen and one person who was born here, but her parents were naturalized, and they are very involved in Republican politics. And we're talking about some of the more nefarious things that are happening in immigration in Oklahoma. And again, it was extremely eye-opening. And after seeing that that video with Jesse Waters and that other guy, all I can do is think about back to that podcast and that they had something. I mean, they knew what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, Lisa, let's talk about you a minute. Where are you? Give us some of your background.
I live in Choctaw. I've been here for 26 years. I grew up in Stillwater. I have a degree in broadcast journalism, and I was a TV reporter. And I interviewed George Strait, Willie Nelson, and Tanya Tucker. And that was really nice. And
that's great.
Yeah. And then I became the manager for Downtown Shawnee for the Main Street program. And I recruited about 40 businesses there, and resulting in 200 full-time jobs. And as of now, I've recruited 85 businesses with 500 people getting jobs.
Nice.
So I'm going to do that for our state too, help the recruiters, the economic development people recruit businesses, because we have people graduating from college and they can't find a job here. That, and because of AI taking their jobs, that too is a problem. people have asked me if I'm a moderate or a conservative moderate. And what I'm saying is that I believe in liberty and freedom, and I'm a faithful believer in Jesus Christ. I believe in limited government because with total government, you have socialism. So limited government and in the Constitution, and I'm 100% behind Donald Trump and his policies. And I'm for the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and that comes from the ownership of private property. And the Globalist 2030 plan does not want us to own private property at all. That's why you see all these apartments going up everywhere, because they want you to rent. You know, President Trump stopped the conglomerates from buying all these blocks of houses. My daughters have been trying to buy a house in Oklahoma City, and this Blackstock group comes in, and if it's under 250,000,
Blackstone.
they buy it the first day.
Yeah.
It's a Biden crime syndicate.
Well, I mean, they've really had a problem with that in California too. The big corporations just going, you know, where they've had the fires, and just going in, and it's
they're not for the people.
Well, and what we've done is we have neglected our antitrust laws. Because honestly, Lisa, we talked about this yesterday. Who follows the law anymore?
Yes.
It's more like a suggestion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
I absolutely hate corruption so much. I mean, every day I'm hearing about, I heard of one just right out blatant corruption, a guy that I know that's in leadership for the state. And I hate it so much, I'm going to fire him. I can't tell you who it is, but he's going to get fired and replaced by somebody I also admire.
Well, you know, I have never seen the corruption in government at the level that it is right now. I mean, it's been bad before, don't get me wrong. I mean, I almost think, and I'm saying this while you and I are both running for office, I almost think that that people who run for office are sociopaths or something. It's like they go into it because it can get something out of it, whether it's money or power or, you know, whatever that is.
Right.
The feels because, oh, everybody likes me or I'm so important. I don't know what it is.
That's certainly not why I'm running. I'm running on the opposite of all those. I'm running to do the best job for the people. We haven't had a governor for the people in years. And we haven't had a people person in the governor's house probably since George Nye. He was a people person. I'm a people person.
Julia says it's a racket run by the mob.
It probably is.
Julie and I go way back. We've tried to fight government for years, and it's.
Well, I'm glad you're running, and we've got a few other America First patriots that are running, and I'm going to count on you. You better get elected.
Well,
because we need to turn this place upside down.
And well, I think the one thing that we all have to do is what you touched on. And it's interesting because when I was at the Oklahoma City Republican Women last night, yesterday morning, I was talking about data centers. And one of the things we talked about was the fact that the crossover between Democrats and Republicans in data centers, nobody likes these things.
That's right.
Nobody.
That's right.
It just doesn't even, I mean, some of the best bills out there on data centers are Democrat authored. I mean, nobody likes them. But you know what else, though, Lisa? I think, and I'm curious to know what you think about this, too. I think people in general hate corruption, and it's gotten so bad finally that now they're noticing it. And I think that's another area where the Democrats and the Republicans cross over. We're all just sick to damn death of the
and stuff. It doesn't matter what kind of corruption it is, they need to go to jail.
Yes.
Cindy Byrd, our state auditor, who is running for lieutenant governor, 3 years ago, she has audited some state agencies and found so much corruption. One used all of their money to buy gift cards and spa treatments. And they're sitting out here drinking their coffee today because our attorney general, Gettner Drummond, will not prosecute them. Why is that? She's got, yes, exactly, yes. And there's a couple other times that he won't prosecute. That's why it's so important to interview these guys that are running for attorney general and say, are you willing to prosecute white collar crime, state agency white collar crime? And do you have experience in doing that? Because we need to go after them.
Well, did you notice, I'm going to call him today, but when we were with Jeff Starling yesterday, he was there and spoke briefly. And did you
Yes.
notice that it was all about drugs?
Yeah.
So we've got to have him on the
Lots of
show and
people.
talk to him about, it's not just about drugs. We've got to prosecute these white collar crimes.
Yes. Because one, they denied 8,000 people in housing that had housing needs because they were so involved in going out to eat and buying gift cards for their friends. I have a friend that, a person that I met while campaigning. Her husband broke his back, and they have 3 children, and she works at Starbucks. And she
Lord.
applied for temporary assistance for needy families. Sounds perfect for her. Temporary assistance, you know, they're needy. And they were told she makes too much money working at Starbucks. So she applied for SNAP benefits. Told the same thing. They're starving. Something is wrong here. Something is wrong when a person like that gets turned down and then other people aren't, you know? We've got
Well,
to review the whole picture.
yeah, I just, somebody reached out to me, or I reached out to her actually, about some TANF fraud that she knew about, temporary assistance for needy families, TANF.
Yeah.
And there is just, I'm just curious to think what you think about this statement. So this is my statement, and then you just riff off of that. Private organizations, hopefully churches, will always do a better job taking care of people than the government.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Government really doesn't have it. That's socialism. When the government takes care of people and it's not their money to give, you know, that's wrong. It's not how our Constitution was set up. And we've been doing too much of that forever. But will churches, and I think people will step up if the government isn't in the business of helping. I think they will. The Elks Club in Midwest City this year at Christmas time, they got shopping carts from Crest and bought a shopping cart. I mean, it was a ton of food for like 800 families.
Oh,
You should have seen that place. It was packed. That's real help for people.
I agree. I agree. And you know, here in Luther, we have a community center that's run by the Church of Christ. And the Church of Christ Church is in Luther, and they run this community center, and they're constantly meeting the needs of needy families in this area.
Good.
And it just shocks me that that so many people feel like it's government's job.
Well, they're just uninformed. That's what they are. And they're used to seeing that happen and living off of the government. And they don't know another way of life. You know, in the Jones City Hall, they have a grocery counter in there. People bring cans and boxes of food, and you can go in and get food anytime. The Eastern Oklahoma County Resource Center is supported by Choctaw Road Baptist Church, and they have everything: bedding, blankets, milk, and it's open to anybody that wants to come. So I think you're right. We can get out of the government supporting these programs, but those are federal programs.
Well, and that's another question I'll ask you. So who has superiority, the state or the federal government?
Well, the state gives the federal government their power. But the federal government has gotten so powerful by starting all these agencies that now they seem to think they have all the power. But under Governor or President Stitt's leadership, I think we're going to be able to get rid of the Department of Education for sure, probably the IRS and the Federal Reserve, and
Well, I don't know about
who
the
knows?
IRS, and I would love to get rid of the Federal Reserve, but we'll have to see. But I think one of the things that is, well, I'm going to put this in right now because there are a couple of things I want to throw up here, but this one I'm going to put in right now. Imagine how much more we could do to help our neighbors as an individual if the government didn't take so much of our money to redistribute it to
Mhm.
NGOs and nonprofits of their choosing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We don't get to say what NGO that goes to. And I think the
Right.
US aid, that whole blow up over US aid, I hope that opens some eyes with people going,
Me
wait a minute,
too.
why are you taking my money and giving it to this place that just turned around and did everything against the United States it
Yes.
could
Yeah,
possibly do?
exactly.
Just, you're like, seriously.
Do they hate our country?
They
Is that
do,
really what
though.
it is?
Yeah, they do. Our little town has blessings boxes in our parks. People add food or take what they
Oh,
need. It's pretty awesome. See, I don't know why we're not
what city is
doing.
that?
Yeah,
I love
what's?
that.
Hold on.
I'm gonna write that down. Blessing
She
boxes.
she told me
What?
yesterday. It's not Claremore. I'm sorry, Gracie. I know you told me yesterday, and I've forgotten. Robert says I think we need to return to charity to the churches, and that
Okay,
scenario probably wouldn't
I'm all that.
exist. Mayor Bynum in Tulsa issued warnings to citizens to not help the homeless during frigid temps a few years back and said, let the government do it.
Wow. Wow.
Well, but
That's not their job.
Lisa,
And they
if
don't have the
they
money.
can grow the government,
Yeah,
they get all the power. When
right.
they get
That's
all
right.
the power, they have all the control and they get to make the rules and do what they want. And
Right.
that's what we're seeing right now with the whole, I don't have to follow the law if I don't want to. Gracie says Veneta. It's Veneta.
Veneta. I was in Veneta not too long ago.
I
might have
wanted
met
to
you,
go back to
Gracie.
something before we get too far afield because you and I can talk forever.
I know.
But I want to put this in because this is a big thing, and we talked about this yesterday at the OKC Republican Women. Economic development is code word for corporate welfare. How
Oh
are you
boy.
going to grow economic development in a way that aligns with the Republican platform that's not funded by taxpayers like it has been for the last decade plus?
Well, I've been in economic development for a long time, public service for 17 years. And I've never known of anybody to be controlling me. And I use it just to recruit businesses to get a good packet. In fact, I'm so ticked that Devin's moving. I've already reached out to some companies in New York City last night because I'm good at recruiting and to reach out to see if we can fill that building back quickly.
Well, but I mean, do we give them money to come here? Or are they going to say, well, what are you going to give us to come here?
Well, it depends on what they're going to do for the community, like in more. The cities in Oklahoma are 100% dependent on sales tax and public utilities, if they have any. So they had a business come in and they're landlocked. I mean, they don't have very much land, but they wanted to get this major business, but Oklahoma City was also wanting it. So Moore thought they had it. They thought they'd given them like $5 million in tax incentives, which would mean like for 5 years they wouldn't pay any tax. Then, or 5 years, then they would, at the 5th year, they'd be 100% free, but 80%, 60, 20, or 40. It goes down until like for 5 years, and then they
Right.
start paying tax.
Right.
Well, Oklahoma City gave them cash to build and a tax incentive and all this other stuff because It built up that whole area, and it did. It built up the whole area. It provided jobs, and it became the anchor for that area. That's a benefit to everyone that lives there because of the jobs, the ease of transportation to get to something you need, you know. It's over there by Top Golf. Top Golf came in, and the shoe company and the restaurants. So I can see that helping. But then again, what about the mom and pop store that don't get anything? And they need it to get in and be helpful. But so I see where he's coming from.
Yeah, because all you're doing with the tax incentives are making the bigger businesses bigger. And you're just
Yes, that's
putting
right.
out smaller,
Right.
you're making it hard for the smaller mom and pop stores to
Right.
succeed. And
There
I think
there is a second tax that is falling on some of these small business owners. As I've traveled around the state, it doesn't hit every city or every county, but it does hit some. And I think it's the county that's coming in, and they'll bill them for everything it takes to be in business. So once they bill you, or you get your property taxes for your building, they come in and they'll bill you for your desk, your pens, your lights, your clock. One guy in Ponca City that has Starbucks or Star Wars stuff set up just on display says that one piece that his mother gave him when he was 4, it's still in the wrapper. Now he has paid more money in tax than even the collectors will pay for it because of this tax that Ponca City's having to pay. That's going to end. It's not fair. It's a burden on small business, and it's ending under my leadership.
well, I want to point this is Michelle has another great comment here.
Okay.
It's centralized control of industry where the governor or government, I mean, Governor Stitt, frankly, has his hand in so much of these things that
listen,
I would
can
almost put
some
a lot
stories.
of it in his lap. But they're picking winners and losers. And I think we truly have to end the practice of giving taxpayer dollars to private businesses, period. And it used to be that companies would succeed or fail on their own merits. But what we're seeing in business today, in my perspective, love to hear yours, but in my perspective, what I'm seeing is we're getting more and more bigger businesses while the smaller businesses have to go away. They're overtaxed. They don't have the ability to bring in the customers like the other ones do, who are getting so many tax incentives that they can afford to advertise. They can afford to lower their prices. They make it impossible with these tax incentives for other businesses to compete. And in my opinion, it is nothing but socialism to the extent that you're spreading all of that money around, but it's almost like oligarchy in the sense that the people at the top are dictating who gets it and who doesn't.
Yeah. And I think a part of that's going on here too. I owned a convenience store and with a gas station. And across the street was a conglomerate gas station. And you know, I knew how much I could sell my gas for. And every time I set my gas, they would cut their price by a penny.
Yeah.
Well, a penny times, 50,000 gallons is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I would just tell them I have better gas. So they'd lower it by another penny or maybe 5 cents. And it killed me. I couldn't sell my gas. Just killed me. And then it wasn't funny because I only had 9 days to pay for my load. And on that 9th day, they take the money out of my account. One time they cleaned me out and I went, oh my gosh, this isn't funny. And so 2 years in, I sat on that cold floor and I put it on Craigslist at 2 a.m. and I had a cash buyer by 10.
Wow.
And that's and I went back to school and got my master's. And I have a
Yeah.
master in public administration, perfect for being the governor.
Well, I'm going to ask you, you have been on the, I mean, you've been in economic development. How have you done it in the smaller towns?
I don't know. I think God has helped me. I usually what I used to say is you can drive out. You think about when you want to recruit, and most people are open to opening a second business within 20 miles
Okay.
of where their initial business is. So I would just drive 20 miles out in all different directions. And I had done a survey of the people to tell me what kind of businesses are you wanting here? And they would give me the names of some, or just like, we want a shoe store or something like that. So I would hit the road and go in all these different directions and see if I could find anybody. And once I found some places, I would come back and I'd create a packet, a recruitment packet based on demographics, a calendar of events, what buildings are available, what the Main Street program can do for them. And I would go talk to them. And I even got a moving crew, downtowners. We were trying to come up with anything we could do to make us more, well, they'd like us more, and they'd come in downtown Shawnee. And so we got a moving crew, and we'd go show up with a trailer and boxes and tissue paper, and we would wrap and pack and move them in. And then once they got in there, the Downtown Shawnee Main Street Board made a proposal for grants for awnings, for new signage, anything to improve the look of the district. And we did a lot of that. And that was a good program.
And I like that. I mean, but I think what you're talking about is hard work, and people don't like that anymore. It's so much easier just to fork over a wallet full of cash, and especially when it's somebody else's.
Yeah.
And say, here you go, this is going to help. And, I think grants are wonderful things because unless they're government provided grants. And then of course I do not, but if they're, business provided, or if there's, a nonprofit that's helping businesses, these are great things, absolutely they should be used.
Mm-hmm.
But, the idea of giving somebody else's money to somebody else to better their business is it just goes all over me.
It's
like
not
it's not right
to give.
Yeah.
We are to rebuild the streets and bridges to make sure that they are in good shape, so that when you hit a pothole, it doesn't eat up your tire. And there's been nothing done. Most of these cities, especially small cities, they don't have the sales tax to fix the streets and bridges. That's my number one goal, to help cities and counties fix the streets and bridges that have been left neglected. And the streets are dirty. The bridges are dirty.
Yeah.
What happened? Where are the street sweepers that we used to see everywhere? I don't know.
Well, and I was talking to somebody the other day too, who was mentioning that part of the reason why, our streets and bridges are crumbling is, that we haven't vetted the workers on these crews very well. And so many of them, are not here. They're not legal citizens. And, it's hard to police that kind of stuff. I mean, there are so many factors for things. And often we don't look at how one policy affects so many different parts that you just think, oh, it's one policy. But we have a tendency in government in Oklahoma not to look past our nose. We don't think to the future. We don't think about what it's going to do to other things. We're just like, oh, so long as we can get Devon Tower filled up, we're all good. Well, what does that mean? What does that do to the other people? What does that do to we, the people? I mean, when you're talking about a business not being able to make, a small business not being able to make payroll, but you have the film industry getting millions of dollars in tax credits, and that part of that money is yours that you could be using to make payroll. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I understand both points.
Well, and not only that, the other thing that just hit me too is we talked about antitrust laws and about how we have corporations getting big, BlackRock and, all these corporations getting bigger and bigger and bigger while the little people get smaller and smaller and smaller. Yeah. But that's not the way it's supposed to be. Everybody's supposed to be able to, it's not an even playing field, but you should be able to have access to the same ability to create a business as your neighbor. So you ought to be able to do as well as your neighbor if you work hard enough, or, if you accidentally get lucky, or if you, get blessed with some, a really great thing and you do better, or you just provide a really great service and you do better.
There's a guy running for mayor of Midwest City that was homeless 5 years ago. He moved to Midwest City and they loved on him. They helped him open a business.
Oh, wow.
He has a website design business now, and now he's running for mayor. Good for him.
Absolutely. 100%.
Story. We'll see if he's elected on February 10th.
Oh, that's right. Those are coming up. Actually,
he's not running for
really
mayor.
fast.
He's running for city council.
Oh, city council. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Hold on. There were a couple other.
Good. I'm glad people are writing in.
Okay.
I'll tell you some of my other goals.
Oh, absolutely. Hold on one second, because yes, I want to hear those. Do these corporations only rely on state handouts to come to Oklahoma? I'm thinking the film credit, aerospace credit, rural land investment credit. And I mean, it's a question to be.
It left. I couldn't read it all.
Hold on a second. Let me go back. Okay. Shelley says, Michelle, I love that you brought out the platform. I tried to do this recently with the resolution against Bartlesville Go Bond. I wanted censure. We did pass another one that covered some of this. 2 lines were omitted from that because of a disingenuous argument saying the information was on city pages. Fact is, some information is there, project cost. What's not there is the amortization schedule, debt layering information, example, if this bond fails and the tax is still good. So Shelley's talking about she's fighting a bond in Bartlesville. And I think she's just trying to say that we have a Republican platform, but then we don't hold our elected officials who use the R term to what the platform actually says. We just go, oh, he's got an R by his name, and it doesn't help us at all.
You look at the Oklahoma Constitution newspaper rates the conservatism of all of the elected officials in Oklahoma. You need to be getting this newspaper. It is good information.
Amen. And Michelle says, Oklahoma is literally being transformed by a few massive USEDA award programs for economic development. Why do we need AI hyperscale data centers? Because NGOs in Oklahoma were chosen by the Biden administration to win not 1, but 2 Build Back Better regional challenge awards to transform our state away from our traditional industries and into autonomous vehicle and unmanned aerial corridors and biomedical and biomanufacturing. Yeah. And she didn't quite get the whole thing on there. So what do you think about that? Because I've seen this happening. What do you think about that?
Let me see that again. That was a long quote.
Yeah. Well, she's just talking about, the government giving grants that's changing the landscape of Oklahoma and other states.
Oh, let's talk about the wind turbines. The wind turbines that have totally messed up the landscape in Oklahoma. Thank heavens, the subsidies at the state have ended, And the last ones run out in this state this year. So those state subsidies are gone. The federal subsidies are gone also. So with that, I'm going to ban the wind turbines from now on. There will not be another one coming in Oklahoma, and we're going to start taking them down. I'm not sure where we're going to put them, but they're not going to be remaining here. If somebody has an idea of how we can reuse them, I'm for that, but we're going to take them down. The solar farms, that's another one. Why are we using good farmland, like 3,000 acres in Skytook for a solar farm? Those are expensive. They're not worth your money to get that. And then we've got the AI centers. You said yesterday, what was your figure? I've got it written down here. I take notes when people speak. $17 million. $17 million of your money in Oklahoma was given to AI centers in 2025, led by our Speaker of the House, Charles McCall. That came to the floor by him to give $17 million to AI. That's ridiculous. And they gave them $1 billion in tax subsidies last year. And Devon Energy Corporation is merging and moving to Houston, and they're saying they're going to save $1 billion in tax subsidies. You're giving $1 billion in tax subsidies to AI, which is going to take our water and cause us to pay more power, more electricity, which neither one do we have enough of, because you don't want to deal with somebody that employs people that's a good neighbor, good person in this community. And so I guarantee you, they came to Governor Stitt and the legislators. I guarantee you they were reaching out saying, we need a break, because I'm hearing it from all over Oklahoma. Everybody needs a break in this tax scale that they're paying. Everybody.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything. They thumbed their nose at them or something, because on the day that Kevin Stitt did his State of the State, that's the day Devon Tower announced that they were moving. And that was done on purpose to let them know the state hadn't been doing them right. And now look, this is going to hurt Oklahoma. It'll hurt Oklahoma City. And we have a big tower now sitting in the middle of downtown Oklahoma City, empty.
It's all very frustrating. And think about it. Think about this. So if they weren't giving away so much of our money in tax breaks, then you could lower the tax rate, couldn't you?
You could get rid of if they're so willing to give away $17 million, why are we still paying personal income tax? If they have that much extra money to waste, why can't we get rid of the state income tax?
Or property taxes. Why can't we own our own property?
Well, in California, they got a sharp attorney and they voted out all tax increases without a percentage vote of the people. It's about killed their state by doing that, by the way, but that's what they did years ago.
Well, and this is a great point. So Robert says our local sales taxes are going to be over 10% when they used to be below 8%. You look in the books and the cities are redirecting money to the general fund to pay for bonds, TIFs, and loans.
You better stay on top of your city and where that money goes. I know one city, and well, this is factual. Under Mayor Bynum, while Tulsa City Council was meeting, they passed a $65 million bond increase for the Gilcrease Museum.
Yes.
And when it got in the city council's hands, they doubled it without the voter approval and shared it with each other. They also did that with $18 million. And I forwarded all that information to Gettner Drummond. I think he wrote them a letter requiring the accounting on it. And Bynum called the sheriff, who apparently is maybe corrupt. I don't know for sure. And he went and arrested the city councilman that made the report. that was the person that's the only straight shooter on that city council board, and they arrested him and put him in jail for domestic violence.
Yes, I need to have him on the show. Yeah, that
He's a
poor
good guy.
guy.
You know him, don't you?
Yeah, that guy. Well, I don't know him. I know of him. We've spoken on the phone a couple of times, but
Yeah.
That I think is the scariest thing, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Is I think so many of us woke up when we saw what happened on January 6th, where the government literally broke the Constitution, took people, incarcerated them without due process or the benefit of a trial, and did whatever they want. That is absolutely sheer oligarchy. It's
now we know
sheer
it was
tyranny.
fake. Yeah, it was fake. It didn't
Well,
even
happen. And even if it wasn't, the whole point is the government in the United States of America doesn't have the power to do that, but they took it and we didn't do anything about it. And even when we did, the courts are now so corrupt and captured that basically we don't have any real justice in America today. We have what works for the people that are in favor, in political favor. We don't, and if we speak out, they'll get us.
Yes. In 1969, the Chief Justice for the Oklahoma Supreme Court said, "I've been taking bribes for 20 years and sharing it with all the other judges." Do you think anything else has changed?
Well, and it's just shocking. So let me throw a couple things in here. Sarah says, the Oklahoma Constitution does occasionally get their scoring wrong. They're very pro-subsidy when it comes to school choice. And Sarah and I are totally on the same page there and get that. Then Michelle says, federal grants this is a great point, Michelle. Federal grants require local matching funds. All of these bonds, sales tax increases, and utility increases are how the federal agencies literally instruction grant applications to come up with those local funds. We have got to stay away from this stuff. It is so bad. Oh, okay. Hold on a second.
We've
got a couple of questions.
that are aware of it, that know how to make these changes, what to look for. And that's why you need leaders that are trained, that try to do the right thing.
So Michael wants to know, what do you plan to do with DHS?
Great question. I'm going to totally overhaul it. They've been rogue and out of control for 28 years. I don't have a Saturday very off. So I was invited to the second floor of the rotunda for a class on what I thought was cameras in courtrooms, which I do support. And it was more than that. It was about families being torn away from their children. And these families haven't seen their children in 2 years. They don't know where their children are.
Yeah.
One district attorney and a DHS person came to this one lady who took her children away and said, "If I hear you talking bad about us, you'll never see your children again." She's scared to death that that's going to happen. And she hadn't seen them in 2 years. They don't feel like they have a partner, a friend, anybody in their corner. And I'm amazed. I'm shocked at this, that the governor doesn't speak up about this. But DHS is going to get a complete overhaul. I already have a new person to head it up, and they're going to start working for families and parents and children. And we're going to get that crazy loop, is what I call it, for the children that are in the system.
Yeah.
We're going to completely get that overhauled. I've asked some people that are in that system to figure out what we can do to change it, to improve it. And they're working on that. I told them they had another year to figure it out. And I want to report in January.
Well,
Let me tell you about my plans for education.
tell me.
I was interested to know where some of the money comes from. So the lottery was supposed to be the end all for education.
No, House Bill 1017 was supposed to be the be all. It goes all the way back there.
Yeah. Well, it started out as 35 cents on the dollar that was going for the education. But
Just
somebody,
35 cents?
yes. But somebody lowered it to 25 cents. And that would be probably the state legislators. But last year they took in $386 million and only gave 19 million. That's not even 10%. So keep that 386 million in mind. Okay. I'm going to take 50 cents of every dollar from now on. Since we're 50th, I'm going to take 50 cents of every dollar that goes in the lottery. So we'll get half of that 386 for education. Then the Oklahoma Mineral Alliance, I've met them at the oil and gas conference. They give 200 million to education every year. So if we put those two figures together, divide it by the number of school districts, that means every school district gets $7.5 million. That is more than enough in most schools to give a good raise to the teachers. And then the next year, it could be for support staff and bus drivers. And then the next year, school teachers. Right now, 48% of the monies that come into the education department or education in every school is spent, 48% is spent on administration. That's disgusting. You know, Bigsby has 8,500 kids, 1,000 teachers, and their budget is $75 million. That's a lot of money. In Strait, Oklahoma, they have 162 students, and the superintendent makes $162,000 a year.
So what is that? 10,000 per student then?
Yeah.
That's
You know,
insane.
The state auditor audited Putnam City Schools a few years ago. Now, this has been years ago, but the school was taking in so much money that they bought the school superintendent a new car every 2 years and paid for his country club membership.
Well, that
Yeah.
must have been part of his, his package. Janice says more money for education has never solved any actual
right.
problems.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
Shelley says, give education money to families. Let
Yeah.
them choose where and how they educate, or just end public education.
Yes.
And then Michelle, I don't know. She says, I'm sorry, are you saying that giving the schools more money is going to fix the system? Am I understanding this correctly?
No. This is money that's already come into the schools. I don't know where it's being spent. I'm going to just make them spend it to give raises to the teachers and the support staff who need it. The state shouldn't be having to give raises when the schools have money like that. But you've got to be aware of where this money comes from, or you don't know where. They get oil and gas, they get ad valorem taxes, they get all kinds of money. What are they spending it on? And they're trying to hide their elections. So tell your legislators to move the elections to November so that they have to be voted on.
I haven't even looked to see, is that bill up again this year?
Yes.
It is up.
It's got to be done. Yes.
Yeah.
To have 5 days that we vote on, and all school elections are in November.
Yeah. Yes. And I don't know why our legislature does not seem to want to make that it just is crazy to me that they just can't get that done, because it's been 3 years. 3 years that
It's
bill
the
has been,
leadership.
and they just won't do it. It's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is your leadership up there. Who
I think all of
says
it is the leadership.
what gets voted on and what doesn't.
Now,
For
Julia
schools-
says, just cut 75% of the administration and pay teachers.
yeah.
Education pays staff to manage staff, to pay staff. It's ridiculous. I mean, Julia, that's perfect. That's so well
where
said.
I live, our administrator is getting paid over 200,000, and he has 5 assistants that get 150,000. I think if you're making that kind of money, you need to manage more than one school district.
Well, and certainly more than 168 students. That was ridiculous.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Rhonda says the money needs to be reaching down into
Yes.
the classrooms where the students and teachers are.
Yes. I agree.
But the
agree.
problem has always been, how do you get it into the classroom? Because the superintendents and the board working together.
Well,
they're not supposed to be.
you've got to work. I've got to work with the state superintendent to get some regulations of how they spend their money and make them spend their money in a different way.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do for education, we're getting rid of Common Core because Oklahomans are exceptional. The Globalist 2030 plan, I'm throwing them out. We're getting rid of sight words, some of them, and we're going back to phonics. You know, the word island, if you sounded that out, it would be island. So some words will have to stay in there, but phonics is going to teach people how to read. And by 3rd grade, we're instilling a 3rd grade reading test. If they cannot read by 3rd grade, they will not move on. And then in 8th grade, we're going to have a reading and comprehension test. If they can't read, they get 2 times to take it. They will know that this is coming up. And if they can't pass that, they don't get their driver's license at 16. We're also going to put reading, writing, math, and English back in the schools. 4 subjects. We're going to instill fine arts too, music, singing or instruments, and art, so that they can also have a relief and learn something that will aid them the rest of their life. But I feel that if they have 5 to 8 years core, those 5 years, K through 5, with math and science and English and writing, they're going to be able to carry on through junior high. And maybe they'll love learning. And then in high school, we have a tremendous amount of absenteeism and dropping out. And 20% of our graduates last year graduated without knowing how to read. That makes them a slave to somebody else for the rest of their life. And we are through dumbing down our kids. So we're going to start promoting the tech schools because they offer a great education. And the tech schools have said that their studies show that within 2 years after graduating, if they get this 2-year certificate of training, they're making $62,500. For a 20-year-old, that's a really good salary. They can live on that. So we want to promote tech schools if they're not going to college. And then when they graduate from high school, we want to give them that tech school certificate too, and say they're getting their high school diploma and they've got a certificate of completion in bricklaying or food prep or whatever it is that they want to go to school in. And then they've got a college scholarship or whatever it is. And that hopefully will address that absenteeism. And then I'm going to send, to improve education, I'm going to take part of that $5 billion that we have in savings. I'm going to send 15 teachers to Mississippi. They'll work there for 1 year. They'll be in every grade, the superintendent, the state, the counselors, and the state superintendent. They have to have 15 years experience, and they can be retired if they want to. If they want an adventure, come do this. They will teach for 1 year. Those people are pros. They will know what else it is. One candidate says it's all about literacy. No, it's bigger than that. But we don't know what that is. So let's go down there and find out. Let's find out.
Oh, you're talking about the Mississippi Miracle?
Yes. We're also going to go to Louisiana because they were 49th and they went to 16th in 1 year. What did they do? We're going to find out. And then we're going to go maybe to one other state. New Jersey's doing a good job. Colorado's doing a good job, but I'll decide where they're going to go. Every month they're going to give me a report on what they're finding. And then at the end of the year, I'll open it up to the media and they'll tell what their findings are. And I think it should be very interesting. And maybe we can adopt, a few of those ideas to go into education. I think it'll be exciting. One guy, I was saying we had been in the 48s even when I was in school. We've just never done real well in education. And one guy sent me a text and said, we were like 28 in 2014 and we were 26 and 28 or 20 something. I said, yeah, for 2 years. What happened? What happened? Why did we lose it? Why has there not been an emphasis on education? This affects your ability to recruit businesses. It recruits home builders because people want to live in areas where their kids are going to get well trained. I want public school to be a place that people look forward to going to, not that that's the only place that there is to get educated at.
Well, Jana says, remove school choice funding. That would save millions. So what is your thought about, and I don't like to say it like this, school choice just means a parent choosing anywhere for their child to be educated.
Right.
I'm talking about vouchers. How do you feel about taking money from taxpayers and giving it to private schools?
No, I don't think that they get tuition. That it's a business. It should be able to support themselves.
Well, this is to allow children who don't have the means to go to private school to go.
Oh, like the
themselves.
$255 million that the state set aside to help people get out of public school and get into private school?
Yes. Yes, essentially the vouchers. Yes. So they give that to children to go to private school.
I know one lady that has did this. Her child is has had some medical issues and just it isn't of size.
Yeah.
And the kids made fun of her.
Oh, yeah.
So they got her into a private school using these funds that the state made, and it got her into a private school, and she's thriving now.
Yeah.
And that would not have been a possibility because of the limited funds that they have. So I'm okay with that.
So you're okay with the state giving state money to private schools?
Ugh. See, I'm so against socialism, and that's socialism. But yet I know that there's people that need it.
But isn't that what?
But you're right. That they can go to a church. They can go to a group. So no, I'm not for that.
Yeah, it always sounds good until you sit down and you think about it.
Right.
And you really have to think through it.
Right.
Can somebody else meet that need? Is there another organization that can meet that need? How else could we meet that need? So instead of just saying, here's your money.
Yeah. I really, when I heard that they'd put $255 million to get people out of public school, I really didn't like that. It didn't taste well to me.
Yeah.
It's against public education. And the smaller cities around Oklahoma told me that they don't think it's fair because they don't have that private school. They don't have the places that people can use it. So mainly this money is only for Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And that is also not fair.
Well, and then if you actually look at the plan, and I haven't looked at it, I don't think I looked at it recently. I think when I looked at it 6 or 8 months ago, most of the funding was going to people in the higher income levels.
Mhm.
So it wasn't even really going to very poor families in the first place. So, there's that. Sarah says, and I think it was what you were talking about before. She said that's not an evidence-based plan. Teachers should be penalized for using bad curriculum versus punishing students.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Lady Frankie says, give the students good books, pencils and paper, get rid of tracking and Chromebooks.
Yes. I had somebody text me about this last night.
Good. What was the comment?
If I'm going to get rid of the Chromebooks. And I said, yes.
Oh, there's some good. Oh, hey, there's some good comments here. Okay.
Okay.
They spend it on non-academic purposes.
Yes. Yes.
Anyone know how much is being spent on putting school-based healthcare systems into public school?
Mm-mm.
Healthcare does not belong in a school where parents are not present to make informed medical decisions for their children. Would you agree with that?
You bet I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there is a huge push that is part of the kind of globalist plan to make the school center of the community. So everything, including healthcare, would be funneled through these, they're called community schools, and everything would be funneled through there. And it's,
yeah, that's them. They want us to all be common, to be like everybody else.
Well, and that's a state funded school that's now joining with private organizations to do things like collect data, health data on your child.
Mm-mm. That won't be happening in Oklahoma. Mm-mm.
I like Julia's, get rid of Chromebooks and have one computer room in the high school with Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And Lady Frankie says, better look into the so-called Mississippi Miracle. And that's true. I have read some very critical things that it's being, like so many things are, it's being misrepresented.
That's why I want to go down there. These teachers will know when they work there for a year. I want them to tell me, is it a miracle or is that just something that's a cute little buzzword?
Well, is keeping kids who aren't doing well from taking state testing a miracle?
We're going to get rid of the state testing.
Oh, tell me more.
That's going to save $30 million, and that's going to be used to train the teachers on how to teach phonics.
All right. Janlu said, I think it's a good start to evaluating the IEP usage. I think it's being pushed for more than it was intended to. And we've had discussions. I have not been able to get parents who are willing to come on the show to talk about what's happened with their IEP programs. But many schools, because of the fact that the federal government subsidizes so much of the IEP program, are putting a whole bunch of kids on IEPs that don't need to, so that they can collect the money. But then they're not providing the IEP services to these kids that they're putting on IEPs. So Lisa has a really great, and Lisa, call me.
Hello, Lisa Janlu.
Yes.
She's my friend.
I need to get her on the show. Use the homeschool co-ops to figure it out. They're sexist.
Yeah.
That's right, sir. Yeah.
Absolutely. When I was the manager for Shawnee, downtown Shawnee, Della Hutton was over the homeschooled children. And that was the first time I'd ever heard of that. And I was giving tours of the Shawnee Milling Company. And she called and said, can we bring our homeschooled group? I said, homeschooled group. I said, well, sure. They came, they were dressed nice. They knew how to stand still. They asked intelligent questions. I thought, holy cow, these homeschool kids have got it going on here.
Well,
And
and that's parental involvement,
Yeah.
Lisa. I mean, that's us being 24/7 with our kids.
yes.
And that's what happened. So, I mean, so many of us didn't have a job other than educating our kids. And, you have a lot more time to devote to what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sarah says absentee policy stinks in Oklahoma. Even with doctor's notes, students get penalized for missing school. That's not right. Good parents of good students with good grades shouldn't be counted as chronically absent in the same way as students with no excuse and no parental involvement with school staff to fix the problems and make them accountable. I think that happens when you have forced public school. I mean, if we took out the making kids go to school out of the Oklahoma Constitution, because we have that. We have there's the term for it that I can't think of. We force them to go to school. And if we took that out, and maybe some kids wouldn't go to school, but maybe things would turn out better if we don't force people to do things that sometimes don't make sense.
I don't know. I had something on my mind. I was going to say it.
Oh, okay.
It just left me. Oh, in other countries, they go to school 210 days a year. In most other states in the United States, they go for 185 days a year. In Oklahoma, we do 169.
Used to be 176, so that's interesting. It's down to 169 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they want more money to put kids in school, and yet they want to have less time that the kids are in school.
Adam Pugh says for every $3 million in education, they give us one more day in school that the state gives education. It was some kind of figure. I thought it was an interesting idea.
I don't know. I just don't have much in common with Adam Pugh, so I listen to nothing he says.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's redistribution of wealth. The rainy day savings account is billions of dollars of our tax money that Oklahomans were overcharged by the stuff.
Yeah.
That's actual factual.
Yeah.
That money needs to be given back to the Oklahoma taxpayers, not used for growing government or redistributing it to other government agencies or programs.
I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be so careful about, like I said earlier, about thinking about and talking about these things, because we have come to the point in our government people relationship where the people now are being forced to pay tax dollars to provide them services that normally they don't even provide.
Yes.
Look at Sooner Select. It's just a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And so maybe the best thing to do wouldn't be to charge taxes for those things and let people find these things on their own, or let government or let private organizations and or churches do that.
Well, let's start that. Let's get some good people elected, and let's start that conversation and see what we can do locally at this state in Oklahoma.
We really have to get, I mean, every time we think about tax dollars, we have to think about what is the function of government. So that's the first thing. Is it to provide people with health care?
No.
Is it to
private companies that do that?
Yeah. So we every time we see something, we have to say, is that the proper function of government?
Yeah. Right.
And if it's not the proper function of government, then number one, we don't tax the people on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's not a proper function of government.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't take the people's money and then give it back to them as a tax incentive. You just don't take it away. You just
Yeah.
don't take the people's money.
Yeah.
The people always will do that's a lie, because I remember who was it that said this? And it may have been Reagan, but I'm not sure. If you were to give 50 people $100 by the end of 30 days, let's say, there'd be a substantial amount that would have nothing. But then there would be some of them who had what they got, and some of them that had doubled their money.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, people are not always the best steward of their own money.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's hard to make somebody a good steward of money if you nanny them and take their money away from them and tell them how it's best spent.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you another one of my goals.
Please do.
As I've been traveling around, and let me just tell you, God told me I'd be a governor in 3rd grade. And an
Interesting.
angel came to me in August of 23 and said, now is the time, write your plan and get started. Now is the time. And I got a higher anointing in September. So I will be elected. So
Okay.
besides the streets and bridges that's my number one goal, to help the cities and counties get the streets and bridges done that have been left neglected. I've been finding out about water issues almost in every city I go to. Boise City in the Panhandle is out of water.
Yeah.
They don't want to be a ghost town. Guyman was looking at that, and they're also in the Panhandle. They got a federal grant and dug 6 deep water wells. They went online about 8 weeks ago, and it's expected to meet the needs of the community for 75 years. That is leadership, and that is the kind of leader I will be for you. And then, so I think that Boise City could use maybe 1 deep water well. And I think that might solve the problem for all of those people up there. Otherwise, you've got 2,000 people that are going to have to move somewhere. Then you go to Coweta over here by Tulsa. They've been telling people for a year, don't drink the water. If you're a nursing mother or a senior, don't drink the water. That's a treatment issue. In Frederick, the leaders kind of kicked the can down the road and didn't take care of the infrastructure. And they let the pipe corrode that was transporting water from the lake to the city. And it was dumping the water before it got to the city, and they were out of money. That's infrastructure problems. Then you go to Hugo. Hugo's water is green, and they can't drink it. Hennessy's water is brown, and it smells like rotten eggs. The Kiamichi River is polluted. Hefner Lake has got 22 drugs and trash in the water. That's a treatment issue.
Wow, that's scary.
We've got flooding in Midwest City. There's just all kinds of water issues. There's a person in Elk City that lives in the county, and he said, I live in this county that can't afford to replace my water lines. We're not getting enough to bathe or drink. Can you help us? And I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's huge. Water's life.
Yeah.
How can a public servant not step up and help their fellow people, their fellow man? And we have people living there without drinking water, plain drinking water. If you have a governor candidate that's not speaking to what we need to do and offering to start a conversation, nothing happens. And we're better than that. And I've told people there are private companies that will step up and help us meet this need. In Fairview, they said, all we want to do is put in water lines. And the EPA keeps coming in and saying, we need to do studies. He said, we don't have money to do studies. We just want to put in water lines. Let's release them and let them put in some water lines. Let's do the right thing for the people. Let's find out who's polluting the Kiamichi River. Let's do some things for the people of the state. And my job is to put more money in your pocket. So when Ryan Walters said he wanted to feed all the kids for free, he couldn't do that himself because he's not a legislator. But I think it's kind of a good idea because that puts more money in people's pocket. So
Wait, if we feed the kids, it puts more money in the people's pocket?
yes,
How?
because they're not having to pay for the food at the school out of their pocket.
Well, but the school gets money to provide food.
Well, then why aren't they feeding the kids for free?
Because they won't structure their budget that way.
Well, then we need to look at that budget like we were talking about, and if they have the money for it, then that needs to be done. Mangum does it, Spencer does it, and they feed breakfast and lunch for free. There are other schools in Oklahoma that are already doing this. I guess it's just your priority, and you're right. You said you got to think about things. You got to think about that. And I'm just now thinking about all of the money that comes into these schools. You're right. If 48% goes to administration, let's take 20% of that, put it into food, and feed the kids for free and put more money in the parents' pocketbook.
Or let's find some people in the community who want to, local food from local farms
I've got that.
is great. And if
It's
we could
farm to
get,
schools.
if we could get nonprofits who would come in and step up, or parents in the area or businesses in the area who would step up and get a nonprofit to help. Wouldn't you think that instead of giving them money in the beginning to do things, trying to find ways to keep from giving them
Yes,
money so
I
that they
think
can
so.
work on their own? And so
Yes.
much of that is technical costs. We got a couple more. Absolutely get rid of Chromebooks. It gives
Yeah.
the state legal access to citizens at home without Fourth Amendment protections. And that's a really good point. I don't bring it up often enough. So thank you, Adam. It's not just that they turn the kids' brains to mush, but yes, it's correct.
Fourth Amendment. I'm going to write that down too. Thank you,
yes,
Adam.
yeah. Bad juju. Shelley says life's not designed to be fair no matter how hard we try. People are also designed to overcome. Limiting government brings us back to personal accountability.
Yes, absolutely.
Michael wants to know, what are your thoughts on the insurance issues here in Oklahoma?
Well, my personal insurance on my property went from $2,300 to $8,000 this year. So I'm on top of this. And I'm talking to both of the insurance commissioners that are running to see what we can do about this. Are you talking about property insurance or
any kind of insurance? Any kind of insurance.
It's all too high. I don't think it's fair. You ought to look and see if your policy covers your roof now. I've been told that the roofs have been dropped off of all insurance policies in Oklahoma. And we checked ours after I learned this, and sure enough, it's not offered because of the wind damage that we have here and the tornadoes. So both of the insurance commissioners that are running for insurance commission are willing to work with me, and
there are four.
Huh?
There are four running.
There's four of them running? I've only met two.
No, there are four that are running, because we just had a forum with the insurance commissioners with Caleb Blount, who works in insurance, and there are four of them.
Okay.
I think.
All I know is Marty Quinn and Chris Meredith.
And Chris Meredith is running, but there are, and I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed. There are, I can't remember what the It's embarrassing. But there are other candidates for insurance commissioner.
Okay.
Okay, so Adam says most states have the compelled laws for the sake of a child as a reason to increase the state's interest over parental rights. And I couldn't think of what it was. It's the compulsory clause. Thank you, Jana.
Okay.
Yes, we have
Okay.
compulsory education. And if we just didn't, well, nobody would allow it, but if we just didn't, people could do what they want. Isn't that a weird thought that people could do what they want? Better local government is always the best solution. Sarah says $4 billion of state budget to education, but teachers still don't have comparable salaries and
Yes.
academic outcomes across the state, and they're lower now than 10 years ago. Money is
Right.
not the solution.
Right.
Any plans for government Oklahoma swamp entities like the Turnpike or OMS?
I'm not familiar with OMS.
OMS, the Oklahoma Management and Enterprise Services. It's the centralized hub for the reporting of all state agencies, and it's a place where accountability and transparency goes to die.
Well, I'm for getting rid of that completely. And the Turnpike Authority, right now there's a state audit going on there. And if it comes out, what I've been told is coming out, there definitely needs to be a shakeup. Now, all of the other Republican candidates say they're going to abolish the Turnpike Authority. I'm the only one saying I'm not, because I'm a realist. And the Turnpike Authority is very wealthy. Do you not think that they can buy off votes? They will, and it will never be abolished. But what I can do is, number one, the Turner Turnpike we were told in 1962 that it was paid for. So 65 years later, you're going to get to ride on that road for free from now on. The Kickapoo Turnpike was paid for before it was built. That also will be free to drive on. The H.E. Bailey Turnpike going to Lawton is paid for. That is going to be free to drive on from now on. That's how I can start taking away the power of the Turnpike Authority, take away part of their money. Those 3 roads will be free, and maybe a few more. And that's how I'm going to deal with the Turnpike Authority. Also, if I catch another person heading up the Turnpike Authority and the Department of Transportation and as a cabinet secretary, see how fast I can boot your butt out the door.
You don't like this idea of one person serving on multiple boards?
I don't like corruption, and that is corruption. I don't care how good you are at your job. You're not that good.
Well, people don't seem to quite get that. Rhonda says, defend and secure our individual liberties and
Yes.
provide essential services such as roads, bridges, law enforcement. We can't have freedom without safe and secure communities in which to live. And so
Absolutely.
basically, yeah.
That's all.
What
that's
are
what
the
I'm all about.
functions of government?
Yes. The Highway Patrol are short 600 officers right now.
Oh my goodness.
I think we could possibly hire 100. One of my friends' sons was a highway patrolman in the Guyman, the Panhandle area. And he didn't have any backup. Nobody would help him. So he tried not to get in gunfights. Can you imagine? And he got into one with MS-13 gang members in Guyman as shootout, and they shot him in his armored vest, and it punctured a lung.
Oh,
When
no.
they airlifted him out for recovery,
Oh no.
there was nobody up there. And that's when those 2 women came from Kansas and were murdered up there. Remember that? About a year ago?
No.
It was a bad deal. They buried the car and everything. It was over child custody. Anyway, I will make sure that there are 5 highway patrolmen in that office, so they will always have backup. They will always have somebody that has their back. I will do that for every highway patrolman office if I can get this 100 group hired. You're going to get to vote to put the Lord's Prayer in schools. And that's going to be a vote. I put that no cross-dressers, sex acts, or witches will be teaching or be a entertainment for a public school in Oklahoma.
So defining the moral turpitude standard in the Oklahoma law that defines how employees can be fired.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we need to also look at the descriptions for, like, who can be our finance director for the state. You know, they need to have a background in finance or banking or something. The governor says you only have to live in Oklahoma for 6 months. And you have to be above 21 years old or 23 or something like that. Not very many requirements. I said, anybody that is, if you are a convicted sex trafficker, kidnapper, if you rape a child or an elder person, or hurt somebody on purpose under general anesthesia, and you are convicted, those will be death penalty cases.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that is based on, every one of those is based on something I've heard when I've been campaigning. Every one of my goals has come from the people, from one of those 65,000 people I've met and the 9,700 business owners I've met. I am meeting the needs of the people. We're going to make every city over 25,000 build 100% handicapped accessible park, because we have handicapped children, we have handicapped seniors and handicapped soldiers, and there's no place to exercise. And I think COVID taught us that we need places that are safe to go and exercise. I will remove any corrupt DA, judge, or elected official. And my texts have been lighting up. I have found out there was a lady's only son, her daughter-in-law and grandchild were killed in a drunk driving accident by a 22-year-old that had 11 felonies. And the judges kept throwing it out. He's never served his time. And she's looking for justice. And she's talked to 2 governors and they won't do anything. So she said, is there anything you can do? And I said, well, I can certainly call the judges up and ask why they didn't follow the law. Because in Oklahoma, the law is, if you are drunk and you kill someone, you go to prison. I had an uncle that this happened to. He went to prison. And this kid has never gone to prison. And then I met another family on Saturday, and the same thing happened. Her family member was killed 6 months ago by a drunk driving, a 20-year-old with 3 felonies, and the judges have thrown it out. And I think maybe they're throwing it out because he's young, but that doesn't teach them anything. If they kill somebody, they're going to prison. So maybe I need to re-emphasize what the law is. But I'm standing up for people like that too, because they're seeking justice. Why should they be hurting when this guy's out hurting more people? I will protect the Second Amendment and your right to open carry. There will be no males in girls' restrooms. We've had a little problem with that around here, which is unbelievable to me. We're going to take the wealthy nursing homes and make them into actual care centers. You know, like the daycares used to have that star program where you could tell what they had based on the stars. We're going to do something like that for the nursing homes. We're going to do inspections without prior notice, so they cannot clean up and have all their ownership there. Also, most older people will sleep in a chair that gets them up into a walker.
Yeah.
So we're going to give, the nursing homes are going to give people a choice of a chair or a bed so that they can actually get to the bathroom themselves and not have to wait on somebody, for hours to come change their linens. All of us are getting older, and you got to have a governor that will stand up for you and that is aware of this problem.
Now, are you talking about this in state-owned homes?
No, I'm talking about every nursing home will have they are wealthy. You have to turn over your finances to them. When you go in as a client, they can sell your house and everything in it. And the care is just not there. But it will be. Or they will not cease to be open. They have to get their license from the state.
So you're talking about changing licensing standards or forcing nursing homes to comply with different sets of rules?
Both.
Okay.
Both. My dad fell and broke his glasses right here. And my mother used to come see him 3 times a week. And they put a Band-Aid on this. And they did not care to call her to have her bring him another pair of glasses. And it hurts my feelings because he was confused anyway why he was there. And then he can't see right. And he can't figure out why he can't see. It's because they put a Band-Aid and they weren't setting right. And then he had to wait longer to get a pair of glasses to see. And that just goes to lack of care. And there are good people that are working in these nursing homes. There are people that are there that want to help me. They want to help me write some regulations. But there are some people that aren't. And we need to get it straightened out. We have a person in Oklahoma, a male nurse that's raping the ladies the older ladies. And there was an RN that was hired there. She reported it and she was let go to protect him.
Well, to probably more than likely to protect the owners of the nursing home,
Yes.
not him, but
yeah. It's crazy what I've heard. I'm going to hire a warrior who has found 3 children. And I'm hiring her to help me find out what happened to the indigenous people in this state. Where have they gone? Why are they still missing? There was an Indian school in Ardmore. Every student from that Indian school is missing. Why? Where have they? Are they being murdered? Are they going into sex trade? We need to find out where they're going.
I've not heard anything about this.
Oh, hundreds of them. The Native Americans are very aware of the indigenous people. So I'm hiring this warrior, and I'm going to get her a team, and they'll have a law enforcement officer working with them, and we're going to find out. It's probably going to drag us into some sex trade, but that's okay. That's okay. They're going to know that there's a new governor here that will fight for them and fight against the evil that's trying to take over the people and end that sex trade. That's why I put convicted sex traffickers. So you're going to be put to death in this state. One guy, he's a prosecutor. He said, "You can't do that. They have rights." I said, "If they're convicted, that will be a death penalty case. Convicted." And I think the people will support me on that.
Well, let me throw up a couple more comments.
Okay.
I may have missed this, but will Leisa immediately return children who have been kidnapped from innocent families? She means by DHS.
Yes. I met a lady from Massachusetts, and I'm trying to find her. I met her at that Capitol Day. She came down here to see her ex-husband, who was an undersheriff in Payne County, which is Stillwater.
Mhm.
And she apparently has sole custody because she lives in Massachusetts. She was here for 14 days. He had all this worked out. On the 8th day, he came to get the kids. He disappeared, took the kids, and she's not seen them in 2 years.
Oh, that's terrible.
She said, I am stuck here trying to find out what happened to my children.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
Nothing is free. The school money comes from our pocket already. Feeding kids is more socialism, more government doing parents' jobs. Exactly. How about taking my money to begin with and letting me feed my own kid and a friend or two if their parents can afford it?
That's what
The
I
goal
did.
of the governor and the state legislator should be to improve conditions for our citizens, not compete with other states. Farms that don't have biosludge dumped on the farm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm
What
for
about
that.
biosludge?
I'm totally against that. I call it humidor. But I know.
Humidor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm against that completely.
And Hardneck Farms says, yeah, I'm a farmer. We're now being taxed for well house, greenhouse, sheds, movable sheds,
Yep.
chicken coops, run fencing, everything that serves a purpose. Our property tax has gone through the roof.
That's what
Insurance is not a
tax.
government issue. It's a lender issue.
Yes, that's right. That tax he was talking about for his farm, that's that second tax I was talking about that's hitting him. It doesn't hit every county, but he's getting it, and that is ending. It is not fair. Okay, what was that? Another comment?
Okay, so Michelle says, thank you, Lisa, for coming on Jenni's show and having these conversations with us. I hope we've opened your eyes and mind to issues occurring across the state and other perspectives. I highly encourage and recommend you to read and study the OK GOP platform, especially since this is a platform you're running on. I would love to see a marked copy of your views and thoughts on why each plank exists. So, and then she gives you
Okay.
where the OK GOP platform is.
Okay.
Rhonda says, agree about getting rid of Chromebooks, get back to textbooks. Paper, stop providing adult reading materials in our public schools. Oh my goodness, yes. Compelling insurance is wrong if it comes from the state. Well, just altogether,
Yeah,
right,
right.
Shelley?
Right.
Like, why do we have flock cameras? Because the government wanted to compel us to buy insurance.
Yeah. Yeah. And the banks want us to buy insurance for our cars. That's right.
Get rid of Service Oklahoma as well. Michael's asking one more for me. Would like to get your thoughts on Oklahoma's Real ID and E-Verify systems.
Okay. Like the tag readers.
Well, in this particular case, he's talking
the
about Real ID, and then
the
E-Verify is the what they're using to vet employees to make sure that they're not illegal.
Oh, well, I'm for both of those. I have the Real ID, and it's as good as almost as good as a passport because I travel a lot, and so I'm okay with that. And I like the E system to verify whether they're illegal or not. Mm-hmm. Did I answer that for you?
Yes.
Let me tell you, if you want one of my cards with my goals on the back, if you'll go to my email at info@mitchellhaynes.us. That's
okay. Info at
Mitchell, MITCHELLHAYNES at US.us, not at anything, just .us. Give me your how to contact you and your phone number or something, and I'll send you one of these to your phone. Okay? And then you'll know a little bit more about me. It's got my website. My website is mitchellhaynes.us. The vote is June 16th. It takes money to run this campaign. If you can send a small dollar donation, send it to P.O. Box 232, Choctaw, Oklahoma, 73020. And I'll send you the donation form because I've got to have basic information for you to do that too.
Sure.
Or you can donate at my website. I have 10 billboards going up in Oklahoma City probably in the next week. So you'll start seeing those around. And I'm trying to get 10 up in Tulsa also. I'm up against millions of dollars. We've
Millions
got,
and millions, actually.
yes. I'm the, there's 7 of us running, 5 are multimillionaires. But I'm doing it smart. I'm walking around and I'm making videos. If you'll follow me on my Facebook, Leisa Mitchell Haynes, I've been making lots of videos, and like my AI video has 15,000 views, 1,000 shares. I just went to the McAllister rodeo, prison, and I said, there's been some talk about the prison rodeo coming back, and I'm kind of for that. It's interesting, but I thought you might like to see the prison while I'm here. And 4,800 people have looked at that video.
Well, didn't they want to give the prison rodeo $68 million of taxpayer dollars to get it back up?
Oh, that's too much. Wow. I did not hear that amount. Oh gosh. Why do they need that kind of money? Man, I'm going to write that down.
Okay, I'm going to give you one last one, and then we probably better get off of here because it's
all right.
We're coming up. Although we've had great conversations today. I missed the first half. Has any talk on H-1B visa for employment in Oklahoma?
I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
Okay. H-1B visas are, or HB1 visas are visas that allow immigrants from other countries or people from other countries to come here and work. They don't have to be a citizen. They don't have to be seeking citizenship. They're just allowed to come here and work.
I think that's fine. That's okay.
Okay. What about people in Oklahoma who need, because you said something earlier about people needing jobs in Oklahoma. People in Oklahoma need jobs. What happens when HB1 visa holders come over and do those jobs?
I don't think they're the same jobs that your college graduates would be doing. I think your HB1 are doing home repairs and roofs. But you've got Americans doing those jobs too.
Yeah, no, HB1 visas usually are not. They're professional. They allow people to come over and be college professors or work in a profession, a professional office. Basically, they're not for.
We've got one that's teaching nursing, and you can't understand him.
Well,
we cannot understand them at all.
We have a lot of those. Well, Leisa, thank you so much. I'm going to hop off of here for now because of the fact that we're getting to the end, and I want to kind of close it down before we get off of here. But I really do appreciate you coming on and having these discussions. It's so nice to know that somebody is willing to at least be transparent and discuss these things. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Leisa.
you for the opportunity. Thank you for all the listeners asking these questions.
And we had a
group here.
Yeah, had a great bunch of them. So thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
All right. Bless you. And we'll talk to you.
All right.
Hopefully I'll run into you soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, it was so good to have Leisa on, and you guys, I really want people to be able to come onto this show and say what they feel like, and then, allow us to be able to, educate them if necessary. I will throw in a couple of comments. But how do you plan on doing all of these things while shrinking government and lowering taxes? Free market principles would change how nursing homes function. Really wish government would encourage keeping seniors at home with their families. Imagine if instead of paying nursing homes to house our seniors, they used half of that money to help cover the cost for in-home nursing or adult sitter services for families that still have to work but want to care for their senior family members at home. Or again, better yet, stop taxing our income and property and let us keep our money to care for them themselves. We just talked about the H-1Bs. I'm sorry. I'm not blah-blahing you. I'm just saying I'm just trying to get through. I'm against the Real ID. I am non-compliant. Real ID should not be forced. It's not a role of personal government. Personal decision. Learn what a Real ID is. She totally walked into that one, unfortunately, because I know we here are not fans of Real ID. Rhonda says, on top of these reasons, I know I would check my daughter for her eye exam yesterday. My daughter's eyesight went from 20/20 2 years ago to 21/50 now. The optometrist said, the screens are ruining the kids' eyes. Screens are ruining everything. I don't even want to go into all the things screens are ruining because they're ruining them. I honestly can't. I don't want the Real ID being enforced. I'm against Real ID too. HB1 visas are definitely taking professional jobs. Boo on HB1 or on H1B. Boo on Real ID. She's honest. And you know what? Honestly, Robert, we have to realize that there are some people, well, there are a lot of people who don't think like we do. I mean, sometimes I love you guys all so much, but I wish we weren't in such a bubble, because the free market principles and personal responsibility and personal sovereignty issues that we are all so fond of and find important in our lives are not, people don't see that. If you haven't been brought up like that, or if you haven't had experiences like Shelley has said on here several times, personal experience and just doing life that you end up having to have shoulder consequences for, fixes a lot of your problems. I mean, it really does. Stupidity is a good thing in some cases, because you ram your head into that brick wall enough times and it either hurts too bad, or you've got, you've really hurt yourself and you quit doing it. But if somebody puts a padding, makes you wear a helmet, and you keep banging your head and nothing happens, there's no real consequence from that behavior. So when government steps in and says, don't worry about it, I want to keep you safe, I'm going to help you, I'm going to keep you safe. Not only do they take away your freedom to make decisions on your own, but when you make those decisions on your own, you teach yourself something. The world teaches you something. Jesus teaches you something. I mean, we can't keep putting a helmet on people and then wondering why people want a helmet. Just saying. It's happened before, but what can you do? Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way, Wendy. I'm man, I'm like super talkative. What graphic? Tell me what graphic. And you know what, Wendy? Well, we've had that discussion on this show before, and I think I'll probably just have a quick, brief discussion of that because what Michelle said earlier, me and Michelle, copacetic, totally get her, with her. I don't like having children and dropping them off at a state-sponsored place. I don't like having your parents become old and then you drop them off at another place, whether that's state sponsored or not. Usually the state sponsored ones are for people who are so indigent that they just can't afford anything else. I don't like it. I think and then I was talking to a friend the other day, which just made me really angry and sick to my stomach. There is apparently a new trend, and I'm looking at the comments while I'm talking about this. The graphic. I'm sorry, I squirreled. Can you send me that graphic again with the date and everything? We're talking about something else. Okay, I'm going to stop scrolling and I'm going to talk to you. We have gotten into a situation in which there's actually a trend now of children telling their parents to go take a hike. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You caused me significant amounts of trauma when I was a child. You're a bad person. I'm not talking to you anymore. And I will never forget a story. And she's going to be very angry at me about telling this story. But one of my daughters was very likes this little thingamabob. And I remember one time we were going to church and she was sitting in the back of the car using it as a mirror and then taking pictures of herself. And I probably hadn't had enough coffee and was tired anyway, but it just made me really, really mad. And I'm like, they don't understand what the term narcissistic means when they're teenagers. It just doesn't, they're so narcissistic. They don't understand the term. But what we have done with this little thing and the ability to push the button and go and take our picture and then, I'm going to admire my picture. Look, aren't I pretty? Isn't this great? Well, I just think everybody else needs to know how pretty I am. So I'm going to post that and I'm going to show it to everybody. We have lost significant amounts of the ability to take ourselves seriously. We live in narcissism land. And because we live in narcissism land, our parents are stupid and we don't need them because we're better than that. We don't need teachers because we're better than that and they're stupid. And we don't need our parents when they grow older because I've got other things to do. Oh my gosh, hold on a second. And I made the point, and I'm being ugly about it because it's an ugly thing. It's an ugly thing. When you raise a generation of people who think that they know best about everything and they're the cutest and the smartest and the bestest, we end up seeing what we're seeing right now, which is a lot of non-thinking nonsense. Non-thinking, non-commonsensical nonsense. And I just really, grandparents who have control over your kids, parents who have control over your kids, take this away. Take it away. Don't put kids in public schools where they use tablets because all you're doing is teaching them how to operate a piece of machinery. You are not teaching them anything. You're not. Teaching comes from what we do on this show. When we have people come in and we comment and we talk about it, we discuss things. That isn't that. So we know where all of this is coming from, and we have to attack it, but we have to be strong enough to attack it. And I have adult children, and when we get together, I am very vocal about phone use. And I get a great deal of pushback from my daughter on that because she's used to doing that. And it's my house, they're my rules. So I think there are things that we can do to push back on this, but until we do that, and until we're serious about doing it, things aren't going to get better. They're simply not, because more of the younger tots are walking around with these in their hands, and they're not using them for the purpose that I use it for, which is mainly research and reading email and advertising on social media. But other than that, I mean, that's not what these people are using that for. So I think we have the choice as parents and grandparents to change this, and it's not going to be pleasant, and our kids and our grandkids aren't going to like it, but we're either going to do it or we're not going to have a society left. It's just the way it is. All right. We have gone over from what I have wanted to talk about. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I agree with that. Gracie says, my mom had Alzheimer's, and when she became unable to care for herself, she moved in with my sister. The rest of us took turns helping her out until she passed. My husband and I lived next door to his mom, so she was able to stay in her home where I cared for her until she passed. That's the right thing. That is the right thing to do. It just is. I'm in my 40s, but senior and assisted housing was the first real move toward the goals of destruction for the nuclear family that I think I remember seeing. It was all pushed under the guise of, you don't want to be a burden to your kids. Yep. Back in the late 60s and 70s, you take the elders out of the home, and you take their knowledge and wisdom away from being shared with the younger generations. The elders used to also help by keeping an eye on the little ones and modeling and teaching respect. I so 100% agree with you. Oh, and Ed says, and Ed's a teacher. Yeah, I see it every day in class. Parents aren't parents. Schools shouldn't be raising children. Students need to be held accountable. Then we can move forward. It's just, you guys had some really good comments, and we're going to have to eventually, and this is another point. Sorry, I had to bring this in because Julie's right. Social media has produced a generation of people with about a 30-second to 2-minute attention span. They have no ability to commit to anything for longer than that. These young people are conditioned to believe that immediate gratification, and they've ingrained that in their identities. Like, subscribe, comment. They have very little concept of true identity or what it means to build and maintain a relationship. My uncle is taking care of my mom. If he can't, we will. We built our house to be wheelchair accessible. I fear that that's kind of going away. It frightens and scares me, and a lot of it too is us allowing government to overreach, and we've got to stop that too. All right, people, we've got to get off of here. I legitimately have more things to do on this computer. But I so appreciate you guys being here, and I'm really appreciative of Leisa. I'm so glad she did that. I'm hoping that some of the things we said kind of maybe helped her a little bit. I think it's important to have these discussions, because if you're here and somebody else is here and you don't agree, and you either ignore each other or you scream at each other, that it's a net zero, right? That if this person is going, hey, well, have you thought about this? Well, I really haven't. Maybe I should think about it. Have you thought about this? No, I haven't really. That's where we get learning happening. That's where we change minds. That's where that happens. And I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican or an independent or not. I don't care about your political affiliation. All I care about is you talking and sharing information together, because that's what makes us better. Not screaming and fighting, not ignoring, visiting. So that's my last word for you. Okay. Guys, thank you for being with me today. Thank you for being with Leisa. Keep Michael in your prayers. Help him with his back, because it's no fun at all to have back trouble, as so many of us know. So thank you for being with me again today. Really enjoyed the conversations, and you guys, honestly, I was thinking this morning, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with the podcast? Am I going to be able to keep it up? But you guys are so great. I mean, you're just so great. And the comments are so phenomenal that anybody who watches this later is going to do nothing but learn from this. So it makes me so reticent to want to even try to give it up, because you make this podcast. You guys, you're the best. And I just thank you so much, because you are the best. So don't forget, the Liberty Oklahoma Conference is coming up the 26th through the 28th at the end of the month. I'm going to start moving to individual day tickets. Maybe that will help you guys, because I know it's expensive to go, because Oconee is just, a more expensive place. But I'll break it down, and I'll do that this afternoon and give you an ability to buy individual day tickets. And then if you only want to come Saturday, pay for that. If you only want to come Friday or Thursday night, pay for that. I think that's the best way to do it. Please come, though. Please go to Oklahoma. I don't know, someplace, libertyoklahoma.org, please. And then you can sign up for tickets and then share that information, if you would, with your friends. Also, if you want to support my campaign for HD 36, love you too. It's Jenni White for HD 36. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being with us again today. We'll see you on Friday, when we're going to have our favorite homeschoolers, Robert Scott and Sarah Prieto, on to talk about homeschooling legislation. So please be here for that on Friday at 9 o'clock, and we'll see you then.